Greetings and salutations, dear viewers, and welcome to the first episode of Taking Book Titles Too Literally, the video continuation of my Twitter series, Cool Fantasy Ideas Found by Taking Book Titles Literally, which was just a little obfuscated. This is a creative inspiration series where I take books and, regardless of what their original intent had been, look at only the title and see what kind of cool ideas I can get by taking it literally. I tend to use this to come up with fantasy themes, folklore-like, that could be used to fill the background of a world. But all of you are welcome, nay invited, to use this for whatever cool ideas you can come up with. So let's hop into our first book and see what exactly it is that I'm talking about. The Girl in the Spider's Web by David Lagerkrantz. Now, regardless of what the original novel was about, I think of a girl actually trapped in a spider's web. Now, for that to happen, of course, the spider web would have to be huge. Now, if we think about this in terms of a folklore tale, maybe something like a yokai tale, even, this would be something you'd maybe stumble upon out in the woods. You'd see a giant web with a girl caught in it. Maybe the girl's yelling for help. But is it a trap from a larger monster? Do you go up and free her and she ends up just being bait that the monster laid out to draw each person in? Or is she actually in need of help? All the people in town just mumble stories about the girl caught in the spider's web. How anyone who's seen the girl has said it looked like someone important to them. Whispering tales to each other of if you're in the forest and you start to see a lot of spider webs, if you hear a girl screaming for help, immediately leave. Or if you happen to be drawn in, be sure to bring some fire with you to help ward off the demon. Shadow Reaper by Christine Feehan. So think for a moment about an actual Shadow Reaper, a Reaper of Shadows. So is this an actual person, or is it some kind of extra-dimensional being? Does it exist in 3 dimensions, or is it a shadow itself? It goes about reaping shadows, but does it kill the shadow? And then the shadow goes away and the person is fine? Or if you kill the shadow, does the person also die? I have an image in my head of the Shadow Reaper going up and killing a shadow, and you see the shadow fall to the ground in pain and die, but the person remains perfectly fine. The Doll's House by M.J. Arledge. This one caught me because it wasn't just a doll house, it's the doll's house. A doll is actually in possession of a house. Perhaps this is a human-sized doll living in a human-sized house. Or maybe it's speaking of a small dollhouse-sized object that a doll has taken possession of. Is the doll actually alive? Can it speak? Can it claim ownership of something? Or perhaps it is simply a mere doll, and some odd series of events has laid this house in an object's possession. The Taming of the Queen by Philippa Gregory. One can at least make assumptions about what this book is actually about, given the title, but think for a moment about having to actually tame a queen. Was this person already queen but went wild somehow and actually had to bring in a special team to go out and track down and tame the queen? Or perhaps this is an odd civilization of humanoid creatures, where local customs dictate that whenever they need a new queen, they have to venture out into the wild and find what is normally a ravenous beast. The city has to come together, or perhaps they have a choice few specifically trained for this, to go out and track down this new queen and tame it so they can bring this back to their civilization to serve as a figurehead. The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. Perhaps my most favorite of this bunch. Just imagining a light between oceans. Is this a small thing that only a few people know about? A small light in the ocean, between where two other oceans are marked on the map, that maybe is said to be some kind of portal or a hidden treasure is deep under the water there. Perhaps as you near it, you start to hear something like a siren's song, tempting you in, never to be seen again. Or is this something much larger that many people know about? Perhaps a complete division between two oceans. Perhaps the light is why there are two oceans. A giant fissure into the actual ocean that light shines out from. Miles and miles long, splitting the entire ocean in two. So these are the books I've seen this week, and these are the ideas that I got from them. Let me know in the comments if you guys have seen any real cool book titles lately that gave you guys some neat ideas. Or if any of the books I've shown today gave you a really neat idea for a story. Any cool ideas or inspirations or anything of the sort, let me know in the comments. That is it for this week. I would like to make this a weekly series. But of course that may prove a little bit difficult, given that I don't have any control over what other people title their books. Also, let me know if you like the video, or like the idea of the series, or have any thoughts on the format of each episode. Anything at all, let me know in the comments, because I think this is a really neat idea, and a really neat way to springboard into more ideas. Until next week, everyone. And hey, maybe it'll get you interested in what the original books were about. Reading's always a good thing.